After a couple of virtual years, my name is Sue Floyd and I'm the Director of Marketing at DriverCheck.
And I'm Will Lum, the Director of Revenue Operations, and we are thrilled to be your hosts over the next 2 days. This is a little extra special for Sue and I because in addition to being your hosts, this is actually the first Fitness for Duty Summit either of us have attended.
Feel free to post over the next couple days. In fact, we'll encourage it. We'll actually give out prizes for some random posts. So this is how you enter. Follow us on social channels. Post a photo of you having a great time.
This morning and tomorrow morning, for those that are here tomorrow morning as well. Today, though, we are going to talk about all things cannabis. So what I have done is taken little snippets of things that I could do about 4 or 5 different talks on and combined it all together just to give you an overview of what is new, what you need to know, etc. So please ask questions, whether it's right after this or this afternoon at the panel, because
we want to be really clear about whether people can drink at lunch, because what we've got is even 5 ounces of what is it, 12 ounce and a half of spirits, 5 ounces of wine, and 12 ounces of beer. All of them are considered a standard drink, and they can increase someone's blood alcohol level by 0.02, and it can take just over an hour to get that back to 0. So those guys.
Nothing too strenuous. What's your name?
PJ.
BJ? Yeah, and are you just here as an attendee?
We're actually here as a sponsor with Empirica, yeah. And it's good to be back in person after 3 years. Nice to meet the community in the Fitness for Duty space and see the friends from DriverCheck and just connect from old acquaintances that we've had through some of the organizations that are present here at the conference.
Yeah. And what do you think of the conference? What do you think of the information? You probably know it better than I do. I'm not medical, but what do you think about it?
Still very insightful. I think the quality of speakers never ceases to amaze me, just in terms of the insights that they bring, the content that they bring, and sort of just the expertise on the subjects that they're speaking about. I think very insightful, and I think people would go away with information that they could take within their practices of the organizations.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Something that, well, it's not related to accommodation. When you're thinking as an employer about your obligations under the ESA to keep track of people's hours of work, you need to really think about those people who are working remotely and how you are keeping tabs on, not keeping tabs on them for the purpose of making sure that they're working, because I think we've all gotten past that and we know there's ways that we can figure it out, but keeping track of their hours of work, because what we are seeing is that people are working extreme hours in some cases.
So that's your Tom. First time to the conference?
Yes, it is.
You can hold it. Yeah,
okay.
I like guys who take over.
Oh, okay.
No. So what do you think of the conference? What do you think?
No, this is a great conference. A lot of educational stuff that people don't think of every day to day, and a lot of new material coming out of this, and it just helps you make a very informed decision on your hires and your current employees.
Yeah. You find there's a lot to take back to your. You got a big company where you are, right? So.
Yeah, ironically, we'll be using a lot of this information with our driver supervisors and trainers at our upcoming meetings annual conference. So just reinforcing the importance of all our fitness for duty and summarizing what those programs are within the company and why they're important.
In the hallway, everyone would turn to look, even though none of you are actually paying attention to what's going on there right now. We talk about perception. In humans, vision is the dominant sense, but of course our perception of our environment relies on the integration of all of our senses. And so we need to think about how vision and audition, how our taste and smell senses, and of course what our task goals are, all integrate. Memory, we know what memory is. We encode information, we store it, we retrieve it. We have short-term memory, long-term memory. I think
if you were testing the period immediately after consumption. Kind of maybe a couple of questions. One is, how long does the full panel of tests take, and are you measuring the period kind of immediately after?
To ask questions, but I'm curious, out of the audience members here, how many of you actually have more than just an alcohol and drug policy, like a fitness for duty policy? Shoot hands. All right. So, good half of you. Do the rest of you just have alcohol and drug policies, standalones? Yeah? Okay, perhaps. Well, maybe I can just turn back to Melissa Roth then. So, can you tell us a little bit about...
We just say, hey, how are you? And we keep going. But today I want to talk a little bit about some of the measures we can take, individually and as teams and as leaders, in order to build psychological safety. So for the purposes of my practice, I consider psychological health centric to an individual and psychological safety centric to an organization. Does that make sense? So I consider psychological safety an enabler. So what I mean by that is it's not going to produce high-performing teams, but it's going to set the stage for high-performing teams to occur. Diversity and inclusion can only live when psychological safety exists. Curiosity and empathy are two key components that we're going to discuss today and are near and dear to my heart. And Bill Gentry, who's an organizational psychologist, has an ask for us. He asks us to flip
programs that people tend to maybe miss or misunderstand, that we find that is helpful when we talk to our customers out there.